It seems to me that when people from one of the churches of the Restoration get together, that there is someone who sucks up more than their fair share of the oxygen in the room. Now, who is this person? Joseph Smith Jr. Yeah, that guy. And there are always so many questions surrounding him. Did he practice polygamy? Did he make up the Book of Mormon, or did he just translate it as he said he did? Which church would he like best? Was he just a grifter and he's still conning us all? To be honest, I'm a bit surprised by how much real estate Joseph Smith Jr. still takes up in our heads. For me, it's always been easy. Joseph Smith Jr. was perfect. Imperfect. Yes, he was perfectly imperfect. Just like me. Just like you. Perfectly imperfect. Now, there is no doubt that Joseph Smith Jr. did some amazing things. He was the founder of many, many denominations. So many churches call him their originator, their founder. And there is no doubt that he did some not so amazing things. For instance, he burned down a printer that he didn't control in Nauvoo because they said some pretty harsh things about him. That's not so amazing. He was many things. But the thing I want to talk about right now is his status as a prophet. So many groups call him a prophet. And people wanted to follow him. He was undeniably followable. And he made sure that people followed him, that they followed his actions. They followed what he said, and they paid attention to how he said it. They followed him across states and into battle and sometimes into prison. They followed him. When Joseph Smith Jr. spoke, everyone listened. And I think that's where my fascination with Joseph Smith Jr. gets a little cloudy. I have never wanted to be someone who just blindly follows someone, anyone. I love to question and poke and prod until I understand it all completely, and then can make that responsible choice for myself. And this is where Community of Christ and I match up perfectly. We are not a people who are called to merely and simply follow a prophet. We shouldn't do exactly what the prophet says without thinking, without praying, and discerning it for ourselves. We have been given a special responsibility, and this responsibility is essential, vitally important, to not just be a people with a prophet, but to be a prophetic people. And when I say it's a responsibility, I'm not kidding. We must be ready for those moments when God is communicating with us. We need to be able to discern God's voice among all the others that are crowding into our lives at an astonishing rate. We need to be able to listen through the noise of our everyday life. We need to know and understand this deep in our hearts, that yes, God can call you and God can call me to do God's work in the world. Section 163:11a of the Doctrine and Covenants says, God is calling for a prophetic community to emerge, drawn from the nations of the world, that is characterized by uncommon devotion to the compassion and peace of God revealed in Jesus Christ. Yes, Joseph Smith Jr. did amazing and not so amazing things as a prophet. But think about what we could do as a prophetic people, a group of people who care, who discern, who struggle together to find God's will in the world. What a world we could make. Will you join me in that world? As usual, please feel free to leave a comment, to like, to even share. Let me know what you think about what I just said. I can't wait to hear.